Folks, one of the things that we want to focus on that is what is the path forward for African Americans in a Trump presidency, coming off of 8 years of the nation's first black president? What were the issues that we should be advocating? And so one of the things that we're going to do here is that have a conversation with elders, and that is over the next 2 weeks every day. We'll talk with civil rights veterans and others about a path forward. First up is Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Of course, he's the founder of Rainbow Push. Of course, he got his bona fides sitting next to Dr. King and working alongside of him and doing so over the last 40 or so years. And so, Reverend One, welcome back to TV One.
Good to be with you again, Roland.
This idea of a path forward is very interesting. I've been looking at hearing from different people across the country. Folks have been calling and texting. You look at social media, and individuals are despondent about what took place in this country. The fact that you have folks all of a sudden talking about the white working class voter in the Midwest. I keep asking, well, what about the black working class voter who lives in a city? They both are facing economic angst, but some folks made one decision versus others made another. So give us your perspective in terms of, how do you how do you settle the spirit of a lot of people who are upset about what took place last week?
Roland, we need not be despondent, but our fears are legitimate until they are relieved. For example, the crown jewel of Dr. King's work was the federally protected right to vote. From 1880 to 1965, we did not have that. And New York Times, in an editorial this past Wednesday, said that because they removed 868 precincts, 868, the chairman of North Carolina was bragging about the fact that in North Carolina that they drove down black voting by 8.5% and white votes up by 22%. If this president embraces states' rights, we're back to 1965. Don't take that lightly. He talked about voter fraud. Voter suppression took place in North Carolina and Florida and Pennsylvania and Michigan. So the treatment of the black vote determined the outcome of this election. We cannot take lightly what it means to have our vote denied in 65, discounted in 2000, and suppressed in 2016. That's very fundamental, it seems to me.
I got to get your thoughts on this. We had a discussion a little bit earlier. What do you make of Donald Trump picking Steve Bannon to be his chief strategist, somebody who is a clear white nationalist?
Well, believe what he says, that he is a white nationalist. And multiculturalism does not appeal to him as much as racial supremacy does. So programs of inclusion, affirmative action, and EEOC contract compliance will be under attack by this administration. It seems to me, Roland, we must protect what we've gained and fight when they touch our bill. When they come into health care, for example, if a new car comes off the line in Detroit and the brakes don't work, they recall it and adjust it. They don't destroy the car. So that 20 million Americans have health insurance who did not have it before. And if, in fact, Roland, they are cut off, people will die. Now, one reason Trump is stepping back is because more whites on it than black. So it's not just a black program. It was, kind of labeled that way. I'm concerned that the right to vote, and not to mention student loan debt whatsoever. Student loan debt remains greater than credit card debt. Under the Promise Plus loans, we've lost 40,000 black students from HBCUs in the last 7 years. That's a real issue for us.
Well, you talk about those particular issues. I mean, obviously, those are critically important. And look, I specifically told President Barack Obama that, look, go to Alabama, go to the hometown of Senator Jeff Sessions, go to the hometown of Senator Thad Cochran, look those white voters in the eye and say, look, the Affordable Care Act was passed for you. You look at those 20 million folks, there's 7.5 million white folks who are on there. Poor whites will be impacted by the loss of the Affordable Care Act.
And that's why there's a step back, because the precondition issue, and you get out of school without a job with a diploma, you're putting the 26 on your parents' insurance plan, that is significant. Or if you laid off your job, you don't lose your health insurance. That's real solid progress, and we cannot step away from that. I think also, don't forget, Hillary has 2 million plus more votes than Trump and still rising, which brings into question this whole the issue of the Electoral College. And Eric Holder's doing an article on why it is out of date. You either have one person, one vote democracy, or you don't. I mean, you have 2 million more votes, you're the loser in the democracy.
Do you believe it's time for us to get rid of the Electoral College?
Absolutely. It's time to get rid of it, because it's an elitist notion. You can't trust the common people. And so if they don't vote the way the elites want it, then they reserve the right without any accountability whatsoever to determine the winner. That's not, and I think December 19th is going to be a big day. That's the day of the Electoral College vote. And if Hillary's vote keeps rising, 2 million and rising, you get that many more votes than electors. It's going to be real tension in the country.
Reverend Jackson, last question for you. Your run in 1984 and 88 changed the Democratic National Committee. Ron Brown became the first African-American head of the DNC. Congressman Keith Ellison is seeking to run for DNC chair. What, for you, this is the last question for you, I got about 45 seconds. What is the path forward as far as you're concerned for the Democratic National Committee?
Keith Ellison has all the right credentials to hold that office. I hope he will consider, if he does it, he does a full-time job. But if it maintains the present definition, Keith Ellison, I think, is the guy.
All right, Reverend Jackson, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, real quick to our panel here. Again, this path forward. Spencer, you made the point earlier in terms of African Americans being in the administration. This is the point that I've made. Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States. Black folks have made demands of the previous 44. That should be our job as well. We are constituents. It does not matter how African Americans voted. Our job should be to challenge, to push and prod, to protest, do whatever needs to be necessary to ensure that our agenda is addressed.
No, that's absolutely right, Roland. Organize, 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 organize. We need both an inside-out strategy. Certainly we need some Republicans there to be at the table, but we also need folks running for local office, building the bench there. And like you said before, 2018, 2020, we got to get ready in terms of this redistricting piece as well.
So, Shermichael, are we going to see a significant number of black Republicans in this administration?
I think you'll see some in some key positions. I don't want to say too much, but you'll see some in some very key positions, including cabinet positions.
I did speak over the weekend, Wilmer, with several black Republicans, and that's one of the concerns. Will you see their representation in this administration?
It should be a great concern, but black Republicans who do not articulate the issues of the community are just as bad or worse than Steve Bannon. What we have to understand is that the election of Donald Trump didn't occur in a vacuum. It is the culmination of a hard shift right in America that started with Richard Nixon, came through Ronald Reagan, and has now culminated with Donald Trump. And when we have admitted white supremacists sitting right next to the guy, we know exactly where this is going and what this is all about.
You will see African Americans in the White House.
And what good will they be, and what good will they do?
So do you not want any in there at all?
If what good is a man that ain't worth a damn?
Well, let me say
that's
this.
a ridiculous assertion.
It benefits Trump to have black folks who have relationships with the African American community.
If they don't use the relationships, what good are they?
Not just black folks who are disconnected from the community, but black folks who have relationships with them.
A man who ain't worth a damn ain't worth a damn.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Every weekday morning at 7 on TV 1.